Gloria Gaither stood for decades as a quiet but powerful force beside her husband Bill Gaither, shaping the emotional and spiritual core of modern gospel music. Now, in a moment filled with vulnerability and reflection, she has begun to step away from the public eye, offering a farewell that feels less like a single goodbye and more like the closing of a deeply meaningful chapter. Her recent message, delivered with visible emotion and a voice touched by age and sincerity, did not rely on dramatic declarations, yet it carried unmistakable weight. She spoke of a gentle pull toward stillness, a sense that her life is entering a quieter season, guided not by schedules or stages, but by reflection, family, and faith. For many who have followed her journey, this moment feels profound, not only because of what she is leaving behind, but because of the legacy she carries with her. Long before she became known to the world, Gloria was simply Gloria Sickle, a young woman raised in a home where faith, discipline, and intellectual curiosity were deeply valued. Born in Michigan in 1942, she grew up surrounded by an environment that nurtured both her spiritual life and her love for language. Writing came naturally to her early on, not just as an academic pursuit, but as a form of expression that allowed her to process the world around her. Her path eventually led her to Anderson University in Indiana, where she studied English and continued developing the literary voice that would later define her career. It was there that she met Bill, a young music teacher already experimenting with gospel performance. Their connection was not instant spectacle, but rather a steady alignment of purpose, faith, and creativity that would grow into a lifelong partnership. After their marriage in 1962, their lives unfolded in a balance of practicality and calling. Gloria worked as a high school English teacher while Bill pursued music more actively, but it quickly became clear that her contribution would extend far beyond the classroom. She had a rare ability to translate complex spiritual ideas into language that felt intimate and human. While Bill crafted melodies, Gloria shaped the words, and together they formed something that resonated far beyond their immediate circle. Their collaboration was not just artistic, it was deeply personal, rooted in shared belief and lived experience. One of the defining moments of her life and career came during a period of uncertainty and emotional strain in the late 1960s. The world around them was filled with tension, marked by war, social upheaval, and cultural change. At the same time, the Gaithers were facing their own challenges, including exhaustion from constant ministry work and the anxieties that come with raising a family in an unpredictable world. It was in this environment that Gloria experienced a moment of clarity and reassurance through her faith. From that place emerged the lyrics to "Because He Lives," a song that would go on to become one of the most recognized hymns in modern Christian music. The power of the song lay in its honesty. It did not ignore fear or uncertainty, but confronted them with hope grounded in belief. As the song gained global recognition, Gloria's role began to shift in the public eye. She was no longer simply seen as a supportive partner, but as a significant voice in her own right. Over time, she and Bill would go on to write hundreds of songs, many of which became staples in churches and gatherings around the world. Yet despite the growing recognition, she remained deeply grounded, consistently redirecting attention away from herself and toward the message she believed in. Her writing extended beyond music into books, devotionals, and essays that explored faith with both intellectual depth and emotional honesty. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, as the Gaither Vocal Band and the Homecoming series grew in popularity, Gloria's influence continued to expand, even if she was not always physically at the forefront. Her presence could be felt in the tone, the message, and the emotional texture of the work being produced. She became a mentor to many, particularly women, navigating their own paths in faith and creativity. At a time when leadership roles for women in Christian music were limited, she carved out a space not through force, but through consistency, intelligence, and authenticity. What set her apart was not just her talent, but her perspective. She approached songwriting as storytelling, weaving together theology and lived experience in a way that made abstract ideas accessible. Her words often reflected real struggles, questions, and moments of doubt, which made them resonate more deeply with audiences. She did not present faith as something distant or unattainable, but as something lived daily, often in imperfect and challenging circumstances. Beyond her public contributions, those closest to her describe a life defined by quiet strength. In personal relationships, she was known as a listener, someone who valued understanding over speaking. Her marriage to Bill, spanning more than 6 decades, was built not only on shared success, but on mutual respect and resilience. Together, they navigated the complexities of family life, public ministry, and creative work without losing sight of what mattered most to them. As a mother, she remained deeply involved in the lives of her 3 children, Suzanne, Amy, and Benjamin. Each of them pursued their own paths, yet all was shaped by the environment Gloria helped create, one that valued curiosity, honesty, and faith. Her influence extended naturally into the next generation, where her grandchildren came to know her not as a public figure, but as a storyteller, a thinker, and a steady presence. Now, as she steps away from public appearances, the response from those who have followed her work has been deeply emotional. Many have shared stories of how her words carried them through difficult times, from illness to loss to moments of personal doubt. Her songs became more than music. They became companions in life's most significant moments. The connection people feel to her is not rooted in celebrity, but in authenticity. She spoke to experiences that were universal, and she did so with sincerity that made people feel understood. Her decision to slow down does not feel abrupt or surprising when viewed in the context of her life. It feels consistent with everything she has represented. She is not retreating out of necessity, but transitioning with intention, choosing to embrace a different rhythm after decades of giving. In many ways, even this decision reflects the same values that defined her work: awareness, faith, and a willingness to follow where she feels led. Though her presence on stage may fade, her influence is unlikely to diminish. Her songs will continue to be sung in churches, played in homes, and remembered in moments that matter most. Her writings will remain as reflections of a life spent seeking meaning and offering it to others. More importantly, her example will continue to shape how people think about faith, creativity, and purpose. What makes her story enduring is not just what she accomplished, but how she lived while accomplishing it. She demonstrated that impact does not require constant visibility, and that influence can be both quiet and profound. As she enters this new season, the sense of farewell is balanced by something else, a recognition that what she created cannot simply end. It has already taken root in countless lives, and it will continue to grow in ways that extend far beyond her own presence. In the end, her legacy is not defined by any single song or moment, but by a lifetime of consistent, thoughtful contribution. It lives in the words she wrote, the people she mentored, and the family she nurtured. And as she steps back, there is less a sense of loss and more a sense of gratitude for what has already been given and for what will continue to echo long after the stage lights fade.